A girl found a crying puppy at her door. What happened next was a miracle. It was an ordinary Saturday afternoon when Emma, a quiet 14-year-old with a soft spot for animals, heard a sound she wasn't expecting. She had been sitting on the porch sketching in her notebook, lost in her world of drawings, when a sudden, pitiful cry echoed from the direction of the front door. At first, Emma froze, unsure if it was just the wind playing tricks on her. But then she heard it again, louder this time, a high-pitched, desperate whine. She stood up quickly and walked over to the door, her heart already racing. When she opened the door, she was met with an unexpected sight. A small, trembling puppy, no more than a few months old, huddled in the corner of the porch. Its fur was matted, its eyes wide with fear, and its tiny body shook violently. Emma knelt down slowly, her hand outstretched, her voice gentle. "Hey there, little one," she whispered softly, her heart breaking for the tiny creature. "What's wrong? Where did you come from?" The puppy whimpered, its tiny body cowering further into the corner. It looked as if it hadn't eaten in days. Emma could see the ribs poking through its thin, matted fur, and the look in its eyes, a mixture of fear, pain, and exhaustion, made her chest tighten with sympathy. Without thinking, she ran inside to grab a small bowl of water and some scraps of food. As she set the bowl down, the puppy hesitated, its fearful eyes darting around as if expecting danger. But slowly, it lapped at the water, then nibbled on the food, almost too ravenously. Emma watched quietly, her heart swelling with both sadness and tenderness. This poor puppy had been through so much, and yet here it was, trusting her enough to eat. "How did you end up here?" Emma muttered, almost as if the puppy could answer her, her voice thick with emotion. She didn't expect an answer, of course, but she wondered how anyone could abandon such a small, helpless creature. The pup finished the food and water quickly, its eyes now filled with curiosity, but still haunted by the shadows of its past. Emma could sense its fragility, its need for care and love. She knew she couldn't just leave it there, alone and vulnerable. Carefully, she scooped the puppy into her arms, feeling its tiny body tremble with both fear and relief. It relaxed a little in her embrace, its head resting on her arm, but Emma could still feel the tension in its fragile form. She gently carried it inside, cradling it as if it were something precious. Once inside, Emma placed the puppy on a soft blanket in the living room. She sat beside it, watching as it sniffed around, unsure but beginning to feel a sense of safety. The warmth of the room seemed to calm it, and after a few moments it curled up in the blanket, still tense but no longer shaking. Emma gently stroked its back, and for the first time the puppy seemed to relax, its body softening as it drifted into a light sleep. As Emma sat there, watching the puppy sleep, a flood of emotions rushed over her. She had always wanted a dog, but her parents had never agreed to get one. She had always dreamt of having a little companion, someone to care for and love, but she never imagined it would happen like this, unexpected, uncertain, and with no warning. Her parents were away for the day, and Emma was alone in the house, faced with the realization that this tiny puppy was depending entirely on her now. Her heart raced with both excitement and fear. What if they didn't approve? What if they told her to take it back? But in that moment, none of that seemed to matter. She looked down at the little creature, its soft breathing and the slight rise and fall of its chest as it slept, and she knew that she couldn't just turn it away. It had found her, and now she would do everything she could to help it. She spent the next few hours caring for the puppy, cleaning its matted fur as best as she could, and wrapping it in warmth. The more she cared for it, the more she felt an unspoken bond form between them. It wasn't just about feeding it or cleaning it up, it was about something deeper. Emma couldn't help but feel that this was meant to be. The puppy was no longer just a stray. It was Buddy, her buddy, the companion she had always hoped for. The little dog seemed to sense the bond too. When Emma sat next to it, Buddy would slowly inch closer, nuzzling into her side as if seeking comfort and warmth. Emma stroked its fur softly, her heart swelling with both love and sadness for the poor creature that had suffered so much. And yet, despite everything, Buddy seemed to understand one thing. It was safe now, safe with her. But Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was happening. She felt an overwhelming bond with Buddy, a connection that was almost unexplainable. It was as if the puppy had been drawn to her, as though fate had brought it to her doorstep for a reason. As the evening approached, Emma sat quietly in the living room, Buddy curled up beside her, his soft breathing steady and calm. The day had been full of tender moments, cleaning him up, feeding him, and watching him slowly regain the energy he had lost during his time on the streets. Emma felt a deep sense of peace knowing that Buddy was safe. But as the night drew near, something gnawed at her. She couldn't shake the feeling that she needed to find out more about the puppy's past. On a whim, she decided to check the local animal shelter's website just to see if anyone had reported a missing dog. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as she searched for any leads. What she found left her breathless. There, on the shelter's site, was a post about a missing puppy, exactly the description of Buddy. The post said the puppy had been lost for over a week and had been seen wandering around the neighborhood trying to find its way home. Her eyes widened as she read further. The puppy belonged to a young family that had recently moved to the area. They had been desperately searching for their dog, posting flyers around town and asking everyone they met if they'd seen the pup. Emma felt her heart tighten. She had been calling the little dog Buddy all day, but his real name, it seemed, was not hers to claim. The puppy had a family, one that had been worried sick, combing the streets, hoping for some sign of their beloved dog. Emma swallowed hard, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. She had grown so attached to Buddy already, but she knew what had to be done. He belonged with his real family. They had been searching for him, waiting for his return. And as much as Emma had fallen in love with the tiny pup, she couldn't keep him. The next morning, Emma picked up the phone, her heart racing as she dialed the number listed on the shelter's post. She had been dreading this moment, but it was time to do the right thing. After a few rings, a woman's voice answered, breathless with excitement. "Hello?" the woman asked, her voice filled with hope. "Hi, my name is Emma," she said softly, nervous but determined. "I think I might have found your dog." There was a pause on the other end of the line, and then the woman gasped, her voice trembling. "You have him? You're sure? His name is Buddy. He's a little brown and white terrier, about 4 months old." "That's him," Emma replied, a smile spreading across her face despite the sadness she felt. "He's here with me. I found him yesterday crying on my doorstep. He's safe now, but I think he really wants to be with you." "Oh my God!" the woman exclaimed, her voice cracking with emotion. "You have no idea how much we've been searching for him. We thought we'd lost him for good. I can't believe it. Where are you? We'll come right away." Emma quickly gave the woman her address, and within the hour, the doorbell rang. Emma's heart skipped a beat as she opened the door to find a couple standing there, the woman holding a leash, her eyes wide with hope. The moment they saw Buddy, now wide awake and wagging his tail in recognition, the woman let out a sob. "Buddy!" she cried, her voice full of relief and joy. She dropped to her knees as the puppy bounded toward her, his tail wagging furiously as he licked her face with unbridled joy. The man standing beside her smiled through his tears, his eyes full of love as he watched the reunion unfold. Emma stood there, her chest tight with emotion as she watched the little puppy jump excitedly into his owner's arms. It was both the happiest and saddest moment of her life. She had given Buddy a safe place when he was lost, but now, as she saw him reunited with the people who loved him, she felt a bittersweet pang in her heart. This was where he truly belonged. The woman looked up at Emma, her face glowing with gratitude, tears still streaking down her cheeks. "Thank you," she said, her voice full of emotion. "You have no idea what this means to us. We've been so worried. You've given us our little Buddy back." Emma smiled, tears of her own filling her eyes. "I'm just glad I could help. It's a miracle, isn't it?" she whispered, the words feeling like a truth she couldn't explain. The woman nodded, holding Buddy tightly as they said their goodbyes. Emma watched as they walked down the driveway, Buddy looking back at her one last time, his tail wagging as if to say thank you. In that moment, Emma understood something deeper. Sometimes life brought the most extraordinary things into our world when we least expected it. A lost puppy, crying for help on her doorstep, had turned into a miracle. It was a story of kindness, connection, and the magic of second chances. As Emma closed the door behind her, she stood still for a moment, the weight of the moment sinking in. Buddy would always have a special place in her heart. And though their time together had been brief, it had meant everything. She had listened to his cries, and in doing so, had helped make a miracle happen. Emma knew that sometimes, miracles weren't just things that happened, they were things we made happen when we listened to the world around us.